Hi, welcome to Metropolis Mastering. I'm Streaky. Sorry, I'm doing a bit of a selfie today, and I'm a bit close to the camera. But what I wanted to show you was a vinyl cutting machine. So this in here, I'm going backwards. I hope I don't trip. In this booth off the room is a cutting lathe for cutting vinyl. Now this is a VMS 8, a Neumann VMS 80. Can't speak. It was built in the 80s. Funnily enough, there is a VMS 70, which was for the 70s. They haven't made these since the 80s because they just are so in depth to how they're made. They're a real sort of, it's like a massive old classic car. There's no way they'd remake Cadillacs, for instance, these days because of what went into them, the chrome, the detail, the preciseness of how these machines have to be. When I hear that people are building cutting lathes that go onto Technics decks, that's kind of a bit of a laugh because I'll show you now. I'll sort of cut to it and then show you how strong the turntable is and how strong and how precise the stylus is when you cut. There's no way you could do that on a Technics, for instance. So let me spin the cam round if I can, and then I'll just talk you through what's on the lathe. Okay, so here we are. We're not staring at my face anymore. We're on to the VMS 80. Now the way this cutting machine works in a very basic way is the very heavy deck spins at whatever speed you put it at. Up here is how you do that. This is kind of like the master unit. You can see it's quite old school. You've got 33 there and 45 there, and you can also cut at half speed, but that's another story. And so that spins the turntable round at a certain speed. Now this is the cutter head which cuts the vinyl, and if you can see inside there somewhere, I don't think I can zoom in that tight, but it's a there is a stylus there, which is, oh there we go, there's a stylus right in the middle of the screen now, and that is a sapphire that comes off, and you can see that there's a pipe behind it. Oh, let's not poke it. There's a pipe there, and that sucks up all of the waste. As it cuts the vinyl, it gets really hot so that it can cut it, and it all gets sucked up that pipe at the back into sort of a massive sort of hair, a big lump of hair at the back. And there's helium that sits on the top, and that is pumped in via this to cool the cutter head so that it doesn't overheat when it's cutting. And that's when it can blow the cutter head, which is very expensive if that happens. And there's not many guys that can actually fix these anymore because it's in the 80s. You know, a lot of the guys are getting old. I think there's sort of 2 guys in the UK that can do it, and they're obviously booked up solid because these things are like old cars, and they just go, you know, they go wrong now and again, and the parts are expensive or they have to be fabricated. You might be wondering why there's a microscope on there. That is so that you can look down and you can see the groove as you're cutting, so you can see exactly how that looks, and there's certain ways how that should look. There's a little normal sort of pickup arm at the back where if you're doing an acetate and you just want to listen to the cut, you can listen to it on there, but we tend to use the standard Technics for that, just so that it's sort of similar to how it's going to play out. Now the reason why it gets so hot and why you have to like keep it nice and cool is because when you get loads of high end, it makes the groove go like this really fast, and so that makes a lot of friction, and then that heats up the cutter head. So you have all kinds of devices down here on this amp rack. This is where all the amplifiers are, and you've got what is essentially a limiter to limit the high end to stop too many S's and too many peaks happening. You try and, if you're already going to vinyl, you try and cut the track with you know, without too much sharp top on anyway, so that you don't have to use the lathe limiter as much. So you know exactly, you're trying to cut as flat as possible, basically. As I said, this is the sort of top unit, and I think that's about all I'll go into at this point, because it's you know, it can get a little bit more complex. Maybe on another video I'll cut some vinyl and go into a bit more detail on exactly how it cuts, and then how you can prepare your music so that it will sound best on vinyl. Okay, so back to the selfie. I hope that explains it to a degree. If you've got any questions, then please put them in the comments. Please subscribe to the videos, and if you've got any questions on vinyl cutting or any other mastering questions, then let me know and I'll answer them down there or on my website streaky.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.